Let her go, boys. Well, I got up early on this Lord's Day with the sun peeking through the curtains. Thought I'd wait a line for a couple good hours and still make the 10 o'clock sermon. But the sky is blue and the breeze is cool and they're biting good not to mention. If I live right now, might make it somehow, but I doubt I could pay attention. I'd rather be on a day with my mind on God in the middle of His creation, in an old John boat with my zip code rod for some private conversation. There might be a few people talking bad about me when they see that I'm a missing, but I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God than in church with my mind on fishing.
Welcome to Esau's Explore YouTube channel. For those of you that joined us for the introductory video, welcome back. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about booking that Musky trip. Stay tuned. Welcome. We're going to be talking about booking that Musky trip. Could be your dream trip, could be just that yearly trip, however you're going to be looking at it. But if you have not already started booking that trip, you need to get on that right now. Typically you want to do that a good year in advance to get your dates that you want, that are going to work out for your schedule, where you want to go, guides that you may want to fish with, things like that. We're going to be talking about a lot of that today. With it being February already, most trips should either be booked or well on the way of being booked, and being booked in the near future. This may sound obvious, but a lot of guys will drop the ball and wait to get those things booked. I understand that you have to take into consideration everyone's schedule and everything, but you need to get going on those things to get your trip locked into place. Personally, I start a year in advance. In fact, I'll be fishing during a trip this summer, and I'll probably be thinking about my trip for next year. Do I want to make it 2 weeks? Do I want to go a week and a half? Do I want to go a week and a half here and another week and a half another place? I did that last year. I was up for a week on a trip, and I thought, it'd be nice to go 2 weeks. So I booked 2 weeks this year, and then I did some investigating on another body of water, and asked my wife, I said, do you mind me being gone 3 consecutive weeks? And she more than was happy to kind of let me go for a 3-week stint. So I'll be 2 weeks in one body of water and 1 week on another new body of water. I personally can go a little bit later because I camp wherever I go. I don't book a resort. I have all my trip, my big trip for July, that was all planned and locked into place by the first part of January. Typically, if you're going to be looking at a resort to get the dates that you want, what you want to do is you want to make sure that those things are booked up in advance for your key dates, especially if you take a look at moon phases. A lot of guys are doing that. Not all resorts are going to have a ton of accommodations, ton of cabins, things like that. But typically, if you're looking for a campsite, you can usually get by with waiting a little bit longer to get that done. I say I just tent it, but let's just say that I'm quite comfortable in my tent, my little humble abode. I'll be sharing my accommodations in another video, kind of going through what I do, why I do it, things like that, things I take, things I need, why I need those, why I want those, and such. So, but I'll get into those necessities of your trip and everything in another video. But we'll get going on talking booking your trip. So take a look at your destination. Where are you going? That is going to be a huge question that you need to decide of where you're going to be going. Sounds like a dumb question, but the choices are many when it comes to musky fishing. Do you want big water? Do you want smaller inland water? Do you want more Great Lakes style? Do you want rivers? Do you want flowages, clear water, stained water? Do you want to stay in the United States? Do you want to go to Canada? The choices are endless. Let's touch base on Canada. It's kind of a lot of people's dream trip. Could be Lake of the Woods, could be Eagle, could be Lac Seul, Menaki, Wabigoon. Thing is, when you take a look at Lake of the Woods, that is a body of water that you can either choose the west side, kind of the northwest area, Narrows, or you can go on the east side, the Sabaskog Bay area, and then go from there. You have a lot of water in between, big water in between that you would have to traverse to go from one side to the other, and that's not something that you want to do with the way the winds can kick up there. If you're going to be looking at Canada, don't forget the French River, Georgian Bay. Let's see, Lake St. Clair. Yeah, you can fish the United States, stay in the United States side and fish Lake St. Clair. But also the Canadian side, the Ottawa River, some of those for even bigger water. One thing you don't want to forget is that even if you're staying in the United States side and you plan on fishing some of that border water and you want to fish Canadian water, you do need a Canadian license, and that will entail not only the Canadian license, but there's also their kind of sportsman card that you'd get, and that's good for 3 years. I've got one of those, and then I'm getting a yearly license for this year myself because of the time I'm spending in Canadian water. But with Canada, those are some of the areas that you could choose. Are those the only ones? Absolutely not. But those are some of the more popular ones that guys want to head to. I've personally fished the Lake of the Woods, both east and west side. Can't go wrong with either one of those. We'll talk about destinations, places to stay, people to fish with up there. Menaki, which is going to be just north of Lake of the Woods, kind of draining into it. Another big fish water up in that area. Fished that. I have not fished Lac Seul, have not fished Eagle, have not fished Wabigoon, but Nipissing is where I'm going this summer for a week. I will be on Lake Nipissing for a week this summer and going at it and seeing what we can do over there. I have not fished the French River, Georgian Bay, or Lake St. Clair or the Ottawa River. There's a couple of those I wouldn't mind fishing, but I'm kind of, if I can't camp it, I'm probably not going to be going to it. I enjoy my camping too much. But for Canadian waters, that is an option, or actually those are a bunch of options for you. Again, do your homework on those areas, see where you want to go, and go from there. So you want to stay in the States. You want to stay within the boundaries of the United States. You're going to be staying in the lower 48 because Alaska is not going to offer you much for musky fishing, and neither is Hawaii. So you're going to be stuck within the contiguous 48. One of the most popular destinations is going to be Wisconsin. Okay, you want to go inland in the Northwoods. You want to go inland in the southern part of the state. Do you want to go big water in Green Bay? Do you want rivers? Do you want flowages? A lot of choices there. Minnesota. You want to stay in the Metro Lakes, Twin Cities area, by a larger city or anything. Mille Lacs, big fish water, again with vermilion and leech. Winnie, Winnebagosh, definitely waters that guys are looking to go to for Minnesota waters, as are a number of smaller lakes, but not small by puddles as far as the size goes, but smaller lakes than some of the others mentioned, and those are just scattered across all of northern Minnesota, so you can't go wrong there. Again, homework when it comes to deciding where you want to go. Don't overlook Iowa. The what I call corn-fed muskie down there. They're really coming along. I'll be talking about the east side of Iowa for some of the muskie there. Michigan's got some good waters there, inland waters. Plus, they have their boundary waters of the Great Lakes. Indiana, I fished Indiana waters. You have Kentucky, you have Cave Run down there. Waters in Ohio, they're developing a nice fishery out there. West Virginia's got a fishery if you want to go a little bit warmer in spring. Illinois, guys want to get out of Illinois to go to Wisconsin, Minnesota. A lot of them are headed to Canada, but they've got some great fishing right there in their own backyard. And one that's sneaking up on people is Nebraska. That is one that is kind of an up and coming one, kind of a sleeper. And then some guys are going out, or the guys out in Utah are fishing them, not necessarily venturing to Utah just to fish muskie. But I fished muskie out in Utah as well in the past. So some areas in the United States to take a look at, specific bodies of water for inlands. That's going to kind of be on your up to your choosing of what you're looking at. But there are just a number of lakes in Wisconsin, Minnesota that you'd be able to choose from. When you're headed to some of these new waters, you may want to take a look at getting a guide. I'm going to be talking about some areas, mentioning some guides, things like that. I'm just going to go and say this right now. I am not excluding any guides because I don't like them. I'm not excluding guides because of any other reason other than I don't know all the guides out there. I do know that there are a lot of wannabes out there. Some guys that will buy a license to write their boats off, to write their equipment off, just to get a name for themselves. Some guys caught a big fish, say, "Ooh, I'm a guide. I can guide. I know the body of water. I caught a big fish out there." A blind squirrel can find a nut, is the way I look at it. I happen to be able to find two big nuts, and I don't consider myself a guide. But two big nuts on the Green Bay, which I call home water. I have a 55 1/4 by 27 and a 58 by 28. But by no stretch of the imagination am I considering myself a guide worthy. I've taught myself the water on my own and everything. But when you're booking a guide, it can be very beneficial to cut your learning curve down on any body of water that you're going to. I will shoot a few names out there of guys that I know, guys that I might have fished with, and guides I'm comfortable with recommending as far as the different bodies of water that you might be choosing. Let's start with Wisconsin, northwestern Wisconsin. You're heading to the Chippewa Flowage, a very famous body of water. One person up there that I would definitely go with on the Chippewa Flowage is Ty Sennett. What I'm going to be doing too, I'm going to go back a little bit. At the end of this, I will have slides up and everything with all the contact information for each of the resorts I might talk about, the guides I'm talking about, things like that. So if you're interested in booking or checking these guys out, definitely you're going to want to take a look at that information. But again, let's jump back into that northwestern Wisconsin Chippewa Flowage. Ty Sennett, absolutely would definitely go on the chip with him. Stay in northwestern Wisconsin, but you don't want to do the Chippewa Flowage. You want to do a lot of the smaller lakes, some of the little hidden gems that they have up there, but with tanks of fish. And I'm talking some beasts. Some of those lakes have just some great, beautiful, big tiger muskie in them as well. And there's one person up there that's an absolute magnet for big fish. This guy, year in and year out, for years, upon years has been doing it up there, and it's none other than Scott Keeper from Keeper's Catch and Release. So if you want to get into some inland water in the northwestern part of the state outside the Chippewa flowage, um, that's the person that you want to definitely look into, is Scott Keeper, hands down, without a doubt. You want to stay in northern Wisconsin, let's go to the northeast side, Eagle River area, things like that. I'm going to mention this name. It's synonymous with musky fishing. Everyone's going to have heard about this person, or at least probably should have heard, and that is Steve Heiting. Steve is a former editor of Musky Hunter magazine, and he is now just seminar speaking, doing in the off season. He is doing different things for like MW Marine, and I believe it is that he's with, and Vexus boats, Mercury engines and stuff, at shows, kind of guest appearances, and then he's guiding during the off season. Also, one thing that you want to do, take a look at, is he and Jim Sarek have University of Esac School, and they have that up, and I believe it's in June, in the St. Germain area of Wisconsin. So definitely, if you want to take in some of that, I'll have that information up as well. As far as contact information, I know they have limited space, so if that's something that you're interested in, either book or get on the waiting list for that. If you want to stay in north and north central Wisconsin, that Minocqua area, I know that this person does some stuff in the Eagle River area. He's just does rivers, he does inland, he does flowages. I know that he has fished the Bay of Green Bay. He's fished other bodies of water across the country, Canada, and he's always trying new stuff. He's instrumental for Keys Outdoors TV program, and this person is Brian Schaefer. Amazing fisherman, someone that you definitely would want to get in a boat with, and share the boat with, and guide with him. Southeastern part of the state, you're looking at Okauchee, Oconomowoc, Lac La Belle, Pewaukee. That's going to be Joel Michael, hands down. Joel, get it done for you. He's definitely one that you want to take a look at for that. You want to head to Green Bay. Green Bay is a huge body of water. I consider that home. Very vast. It'll eat guys alive. It will frustrate them to no end. I've been there, done that, and still get frustrated out there. But the person that will cut your learning curve down out there is going to be Brett Alexander from Alexander Sport Fishing. I know he has a number of guides that work with him, but if you want to get in on the action of Green Bay, if you can book directly with Brett and fish with him, that will shorten your learning curve on Green Bay a lot. There's a reason that Jim Sarek will shoot shows with him, that Mike Keys will shoot shows with him, that other TV programs and stuff will shoot programs with him. So definitely Brett Alexander for Green Bay. So we want to go to Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. I tell you one thing, that is a musky factory over there. The Minnesota DNR has done an amazing job developing and getting that fishery going in a multitude of lakes. You can choose from a lot of smaller ones all the way up to the large leech, vermilion, cass, Mille Lacs, all of those big ones. You can go right in almost downtown Minneapolis, St. Paul, into the metro lakes, and get on musky action there. They've done a really nice job in Minnesota getting those things going. I know some of the guys in Minnesota. I know of them, I should say. I don't know enough about many of them to really throw a lot of names out there, but I do know a couple of them that I'll mention. One of them is going to be Brad Hoppy. If you recognize that name, it's from Musky Mayhem Tackle. He and Carrie, his wife Carrie, have Musky Mayhem, making of the cowgirls and kind of the big instrumental Flashaboos, the first ones that were on the market. For the big blades. So Brad does guide over there. I would get a hold of him. I'll have a number up there for him as well, so you can contact him, and he can kind of give you some ideas where he would be fishing out of. One person that I know that I'll mention, and you'll probably be thinking, really? I thought that was in Kentucky. Well, this person is out of Kentucky early season. You got guys on Cave Run, but he's also done a lot in Minnesota, and he's actually going to be, I'm going to mention this person for Canada as well, and that is Greg Thomas. Greg is going to be guiding, I believe it's later in the year. The fall time frame in the Detroit Lakes area, so definitely someone that you can really hook up with for that area and everything to learn about Minnesota water. Again, I'm sure that there are many other good ones out there, but again, I don't feel comfortable naming a lot of these guys by name. Make sure you do your research on the guides, not just for Minnesota, but for wherever you go. Make sure you do your research on them before booking with them. Talk to people who've gone with them. Go to sport shows. See if you can talk to the guys themselves to get a feel for them, to see if they're genuine or if they're kind of full of it and full of themselves. Guys are going to be down to earth, are going to be the true teachers where you're going to learn the most from for your different bodies of water. So for Minnesota, those are the two guys that I'm comfortable with throwing names out at. So Iowa is where you are looking at going. Somewhere different. Yeah, that is really different. That's also a great area, the eastern Iowa, to go for that early season, that March, April, May, and early June time frame. Canada waters, guys, remember, Canada doesn't get going until mid-June. The spawners in Wisconsin are just getting done at end of May, beginning of June time frame, depending on the year. So if you want to get in on some early season muskie, I can either go to Kentucky or kind of stay a little bit closer to home depending on where you're at, and head to Iowa. If you want to go down to Iowa, again, I call them corn-fed. If you want to go down to Iowa for some of those guys early season, there's only one person that I would definitely go with, and that is Steve Jonassy. He fished out of the eastern Iowa area. He is an educator for the fishing aspect of it. He will get you on fish. Steve has fished all over the place. Canada, Minnesota, guided in Minnesota, had one of the largest muskies taken in a long time up on Mille Lacs several years ago. If you get into one of the muskie shows, he's got a booth at most of them in that Chicago, Wisconsin, and Minnesota area. And he had up in his booth, I know in Chicago, he had that replica of that big one that they released up there on Mille Lacs. It was a beast. Big fish, big. But Iowa, eastern Iowa, Steve Jonassy is the person that you want to hang out with and jump in a boat with for that one. So you're deciding to go to Canada, and you want to go to Lake of the Woods. Well, I can tell you one thing. Lake of the Woods, again, you have the west side and you have the east side. That is going to be how you want to kind of break that up. I cannot comfortably say a name of a guide for the east side. Just going to be totally honest with you. I taught myself that the east side of what I know, and I fished up there quite a bit. I taught myself that side. But I can give you a couple names on the west side. Number one, far and away, number one, Bill Sandy, Sandy's Black Hawk Island camp. He and his wife Cindy have that place. It's also the home for the University of Essex for Steve and Jim for their Canadian school. These guys are out of that one, but Bill is going to be the person that you want to take a look at getting up there. He grew up on Lake of the Woods. He knows that whole area like the back of his hand. I think he has a lot of those muskie named up there. They probably recognize his boat and everything. Kind of kidding on that one. But Bill on the west side is going to be definitely the person that you want to take a look at getting out on the water with up there. He will teach you the water. He will answer all your questions. I would had the chance of fishing with Bill several times, shooting some video footage and doing some field testing on some new baits and things like that when I was with MEPS. But Bill for the west side definitely is going to be one to take a look at. The other one, like I had said, Greg Thomas. He's going to be guiding out of the northwest angle. He has a place just out of Young's Bay Resort. You will hear that in the coming when I talk about resorts. Just down the road from there. It's in Minnesota, and then they run from there. But Greg, good stick, definitely someone that you're going to want to take a look at fishing with up there as well. Heck, book with them during the summer up on Lake of the Woods. Book with them again in the fall, Detroit Lakes area in Minnesota. But definitely Greg Thomas. Again, I want to push University of Esau's Musky School. It's directed by Steve Heiting and Jim Sarek. Again, he's out of, they run that out of Bill Sandy's Black Hawk Island camp. That is in July time frame. That does book up. They have limited spots available. I'll have contact information at the end of this and everything with all that information on it. I would contact, if you're interested, I would contact them right away to see if they have spots open. And if they don't, get on a waiting list and look at for next year. You will learn a lot up there. I believe it's a week-long camp up there. So definitely something that you want to take a look at if you're looking at learning about Lake of the Woods. Other bodies of water, don't know enough about the guides for Lac Seul and Eagle and a lot of those others up there. I don't want to go out on a limb and start naming names off because I don't know enough guys well enough to recommend them. But these two guys for Lake of the Woods, and plus it's close, definitely something that you want to take a look into. Or Bill Sandy and Greg Thomas, and then also definitely want to take a look in consideration into attending the University of Esau's Musky School for Lake of the Woods that Steve Heiting and Jim Sarek put on up there. Awesome time, awesome time. Resorts. Most guys are going to be staying at resorts. I'm not going to go into a lot of different resorts. A lot of different areas have some good resorts. I've stayed at a few on the Chippewa Flowage. I honestly can't tell you if they're still open or not. It's been a while since I've been up there and fished it. But I can give you a name of three resorts on Lake of the Woods that I've stayed at. And I'll kind of explain those a little bit. Lake of the Woods, west side. Two places. One island that you go to by boat is Bill Sandy's place, Bill and Cindy Sandy's Black Hawk Island Camp. Again, that is the host of the University of Esau's Musky School for Steve Heiting and Jim Sarek. So definitely a place to go. Avoid that week that they go in July. Crazy. That's probably going to be completely booked. I think they take up the whole resort for that, of course. But any other time from mid-June time frame on, and then if you can, at least get out with Bill for at least a day. Just to get out, kind of get a feel for the water, a feel for where the fish are located. Are they weeds, rock? Are they transitioning? If you're going July, August time frame, I mean, you're always going to typically find fish in weeds up there, but most of your other bigger fish are going to be related to rock or that transition area for rock. But Bill will definitely get you dialed in on those things. The other one is going to be Youngs Bay Resort. I mentioned that before. That is kind of that is the northwest angle. That is in Minnesota. That is kind of the last drop-off point where guys will put in, cross at War Road, go up. You actually have to go into Manitoba, Ontario, and back into Minnesota and stuff. You're staying in the United States when you're staying there, but you have to go through Canada to get there. And Youngs Bay Resort, very nice area, marina, main beautiful launch, like I said, for all the guys going out to other areas of Lake of the Woods and everything. The marina that they have there is awesome. Power at the dock, come in, plug in, charge, go up to the cabin, which is right up from the docks and everything, the little marina that they have there, and you're good to go. Easy run to Big Fish Water, and a really, really nice place to stay. I really like Youngs Bay Resort, plus it's economical and everything. If you're going to the east side, most recent I stayed at was Red Wing Lodge, but I'm camping now. Again, I just want to make that clear that wherever I go now on my trips, I camp. It's all tent. Wherever I go, I do need power for charging my boat, for running electrical devices and things like that in my tent. So I have a tent site over. I get a tent site over there when I go to Lake of the Woods now on the east side, and I go to Red Wing Lodge. But take a look at the cabins and things like that. Nice place, great people, nice protected bay where they're at and everything. Good dock system, power at the dock, the whole 9 yards. So that's going to be definitely a place to take a look at on the east side. It's going to be Red Wing Lodge. Going to Canada and you want to go to Nipissing. Did my homework over there. Let me jump back. Youngs Bay Resort, if you want a tent, they also do have campsites over there. So that is going to also be one reason I may get over to the west side yet again, but I do like the east side. I do like Sabaskong and everything, but that northwest angle, that's some fun stuff over there. Like I said before, I'm going to Nipissing for the first time this year. If you're unfamiliar where Nipissing is, that's going to be about 5 to 6 hours east of Sault Ste. Marie, across the border at the Sioux. From my house where I'm at to the Sioux is probably about 6 hours, 6.5 hours, and I got another 5 to 6 hours from there over in Nipissing. But I've done my due diligence on that. I have 2 places that I will be staying at some point in time. I'm doing one this year. I'm staying on the west side this year of Nipissing. It's a shallower area, a lot of shallow rocks, reeds, weed beds, flats, things like that. A lot of prototypical of Lake of the Woods, of what we're fishing up there. And I'm staying at the Jolly Voyager Resort and Campground. Again, got my campsite with power and everything. They do have a boat launch there. From talking to them and conversing with them, they have been fantastic to work with. And just seeing the place and everything, pictures of it and stuff, I'm just going to say that it looks good. Looking forward to it. I'll do kind of a recap on the trip. Can't say where I'm staying or going the 2 weeks prior to Nipissing, as that is a body of water that very, 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 very few people know that I go to. My wife, 1, 2, 3, 4, a few other people know that I go there, but they typically don't know where I go. But I've been going there for the last couple of years and everything. So far, 51.5 is big out of this other place and stuff. So, but Jolly Voyager Resort and Campground on the west side of Nipissing. On the east side, which is going to be deeper water, larger islands and things like that, you're going to be looking at South Shore camping and ice condos. They do a lot of ice fishing condos, houses and stuff, rentals over there. But they do have camping over there where I would be going. And it doesn't sound like they get busy during the summer. They get busy more during the fall, guys targeting big fish trolling and stuff like that up there. What's nice is from the east side, or the west side where I'm staying this year, looking at a map, going from the west side to the east side, if I wanted to run it, it's about 40 miles across. I'm looking at probably, I'm going to guess 8 to 10 miles from where I'm at to the opening of the French River, where the French River dumps out of it. So I'm looking at being able to get in fishing some of the French River as well. So kind of excited about this trip. Really looking forward to it. I'm wondering if that might be a 2-week trip for me next year. We'll see. We'll see. But I will be doing videos later in this year, probably later this summer, but definitely over the winter of for next year and everything, the off season, getting some video up from my Nipissing trip. So when you're looking at accommodations and everything in Canada, that's what you're going to be looking for. Green Bay, you're really not going to be looking at resorts. Green Bay, you're going to be looking at campgrounds. You're going to be looking at motels, things like that. I'm not going to go into motels. I'll mention some campgrounds. If you're staying on the east side of Green Bay, going up the east side towards Sturgeon Bay, you hang out at Bayshore. Thing is, that place gets booked up and gets booked up quick. Especially weekends and things like that. So Bayshore on the east side, boat launch right there, popular boat launch. And make sure you launch early, otherwise you're going to be walking the hill. And if you know Bayshore launch, you know the hill I'm talking about, that you don't want to park on top of and have to walk up and down that sucker to go get your trailer when you're done for the day. West side, there's 3 to take a look at. One is the brand new for 2022. That was the Brown County Reforestation Camp in the Swamico area. So you're hop, skip, and a jump from the Swamico boat landing. And then up in Oconto, you have North Bayshore Park, which is just north of the city of Oconto. They've got a small launch right there with a little harbor area and everything that's protected. Definitely can launch there and fish from there, or stay at Holtwood Campground. That's right on the river. And you're probably 5 minutes or so from the boat landing to head out onto the bay. So those would be the 3 places on the west side to take a look at for Green Bay. Again, those are the resorts and the camping that I would suggest. I know that Minnesota has oodles of them. I know northern Wisconsin has oodles of them. All the different lakes up in Canada have all different ones. But these are ones that I'm comfortable mentioning. And make sure that you are doing your research on where you would like to stay. Talk to your guides. A lot of times, though, guides will work out of resorts. They get some kind of kickback. They might know. They might be friends. They might be drinking buddies, whatever. Go where you are comfortable with staying, whether it's where it's located, whether it's the vibe that you get off from communicating with the owners or whoever you're doing your booking with there. But you don't have to be staying at a resort just to use a guide there. Go where you feel comfortable. That's affordable as well. That's a big one. Some of these places I'm looking at and like, wow, that's on the steep side. Because I know that for my campsites, I'm paying typically between $25 and $35 a night for my campsites with power and water. So, but those would be some places I'd take a look at for not only resorts but campgrounds and everything for both Canada and the United States. Other than that, choose one, see where you want to go, and do your research. I want to get this first main informational video wrapped up here. I can't stress enough the importance of doing your homework to make your trip the best possible. You don't need to go big, expensive, and elaborate to have a great trip. A lot of times those are, I'm just going to say it, sometimes, a lot of times those are overblown. You're paying for the name of the place, things like that. Guides, the ones I recommended, I mean, they're all different price points as far as what they charge, where they're at, things like that. I'm not saying that there aren't good guides out there for all these other areas that these guys might be in, but I will tell you this, that there, again, are a lot of guides out there that are wannabes. Again, I caught a big fish, I can be a guide. I caught 10 fish this year, I can be a guide. I bought a $150,000 Ranger that I can't afford with a brand new truck, but I'll be a guide so I can start writing it off. Make sure you're doing your homework. If you can see these guys at shows, do it. I'll be honest with you though, the guides that I mentioned, I am of the utmost confidence that you would do so well and be so happy with these guys on the water, giving you information that I'm very confident in what they do, what they say, the type of people they are, things like that. But with that said, I'm not saying that all these other guides are bad. Please, I am not saying that whatsoever. I just know that these guys will do you right for your trip. They will make your trip. Because guides can make it or break it. You don't want to drop $800 on a guide for a day and learn nothing. Ask questions. They should be willing to answer your questions and everything for you. Do your homework on your guide, your resort, where you want to go. When you're booking, have multiple dates picked out. Take a look at moon phases if you're really into that. I know that I really am getting dialed into my moon phases and everything, and go with that to a point, but I just want to be on the water. I'm on the water for majors when I am on the water, but I try to do stuff around the moon phases. So study that, get a map of the lake. I'll get into where I get my information on moon phases. I have one site that you can build calendars and everything for the whole year. I've got mine done. In fact, I will show that in future videos. I'll show you maps that I have in future videos for some of the bodies of water. I'm not going to show all my bodies of water because it's, like I said, some of them, there's one body of water that I respect the person that I was able to get the privilege of sharing a boat with for a day, part of a day, a few hours, as a matter of fact, but just communicating with him got me a lot of good information, and then I taught myself a lot with the water. Last year was huge, big upswing in my learning curve with that body of water, and this year is going to be even more, going to expand my horizons with that body of water. But I've got maps for that. All the bodies of water I have, I've ordered 3 maps for Nipissing. I didn't get the east map yet. I have my 3 maps for the west side, including the Upper French River area. So when those are come in, I see if I can get those things on and kind of show you what I'm looking at. I'll give you some websites of where you can go and order these maps, especially if they're the big NOAA maps, and those things are very, very accurate, and typically for the big bodies of water you'll be able to get those and everything. The homework as far as equipment and everything goes, I'm going to do videos on all of that, of baits, of rods and reels, the equipment I have in the boat and everything on future videos. I want to do that leading into the season. Again, I can't stress enough, the more prepared you are, the better your trip is going to be. It sounds redundant, it sounds obvious, but there's so many things that guys going, oh, I forgot this, oh, I forgot that. I will actually show you and share with you what some of my spreadsheets look like. I actually do up spreadsheets laid out with what I'm taking, what I need to take, and then I'll check them off as I'm packing to make sure that I do not forget anything. I've gone through them. I have them built for my trip already. I had those actually built last year already. I'm adding to them, tweaking, changing quantities of what I need to take, really taking a look at it. I had my wife go through it saying, did I miss anything? And there were a couple things I missed on this one. Obvious things I would have eventually remembered and everything, maybe, but she helped me out with that. So make sure that you're organized. I will share all of that kind of stuff with you, making sure that you have the baits that you need. I'll go into all that. I order all my own custom stuff, and when I'm talking custom, I'm talking outside. MEPS doesn't do custom stuff unless you're Steve Heiting. Then Steve gets all of his stuff done. But Musky Mayhem, my Spankies, those blades, those are all custom done, and I'll get into all of that. So making sure that you're all set there. Again, prepare, and pretty soon your trip is going to be gone. You're going to be like, ah, that stunk. I have to look at for next year now. But hopefully you got some information out of this one. I'm going to get this thing wrapped up here, but stay tuned. I'm going to get some slides up here and everything with information on the guides, their contact information, resorts. I'll throw up the list of names of bodies of water, get you information on the University of Esox School, all that kind of good stuff, and we'll go from there. But I'll have those going along with my favorite song. Hopefully that intro isn't too long for you, but I love that song. And enjoy that, get the information. If you have anything that you'd like touched on in future videos, please post a comment as far as anything that you'd like me to touch base on. One thing I will let you know, I think you're going to really find interesting, is I have ordered up all my own snaps and barrel swivels and things like that, tying all my own leaders, the fluorocarbon leaders and wire leaders. No crimps. I do not like crimps. I am not a crimp guy. No crimps. I will show you how to tie these things up. You want to save a pile of money, have fun tying your own stuff, rather than throwing money at companies. I know that there's a lot out there. There's these sponsor guys and everything. Again, I'm not looking for any sponsors. Guys don't like it, oh well, sorry. But I will show you how to tie a lot of your own terminal tackle and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff to come as far as the videos go. So, but again, if there's anything that you want me to touch base on, throw it in the comment area. I'll see what I can do, and we'll go from there. Other than that, thanks for joining me. See you next time.
I'd rather be on a lake with my mind on God in the middle of His creation, in an old John boat with my Zipco rod for some private conversation. There might be a few people talking bad about me when they see that I'm a missing, but I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God than in church with my mind on fishing. Well, I like that preacher and I love how it feels when he really gets to throwing down, but I'd rather do my talking with the man upstairs when there's nobody else around. If I was there right now, I'd be thinking about which lure I was gonna cast. And he don't need another fool sitting in that pew dreaming about a 10-pound bass. I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God in the middle of His creation, in an old John boat with my Zipco rod for some private conversation. There might be a few people talking with my mind on fishing. With my thoughts adrifting, I ain't even listening. While it all goes right over my head, I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God in the middle of His creation. In an old John boat with my zip code rod for some private conversation. There might be a few people talking bad about me when they see that I'm a missing, but I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God than in church with my mind on fishing. I'd rather be on the lake with my mind on God than in church with my mind on fishing. With my mind on fishing. Missed a good sermon this morning. I don't blame you.